What if John McCain had won the 2008 election? The U.S. presidential election of 2008 was a turning point in modern history. It electrified the world as Barack Obama, a senator from Illinois, secured his place as the first black president of the United States. But what if history veered off into a different path? What if John McCain, the decorated Vietnam War hero and veteran senator from Arizona, had emerged victorious? In this video, we take a speculative dive into an alternate reality where McCain defeats Obama, altering the course of the United States trajectory. By revisiting the issues of the time, economic collapse, wars abroad, and cultural divides, we imagine how McCain's presidency might have shaped the nation, for better or worse. Let's explore together. The nation's situation in 2008 was nothing short of chaotic. The Great Recession had taken hold, threatening jobs, homes, and the broader financial system. With major banks failing, stock markets plummeting, and millions of Americans losing their savings, the economy dominated voters' minds. America was also fighting two prolonged wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Public fatigue was palpable, and new leadership was desperately sought to navigate a way forward. Obama's meteoric rise capitalized on hope and change. He promised bold action, sweeping reforms, and an optimistic vision for embattled citizens. McCain, on the other hand, presented himself as a seasoned and steady hand, someone who could provide stability in one of the country's most precarious moments. Against this backdrop, what might it have looked like had McCain secured the presidency? Let's begin with the economy, where his administration would have faced its first major test. The financial crisis demanded immediate action. In reality, Barack Obama pushed forward a massive stimulus package to stabilize the economy. But how might John McCain have handled this pivotal moment? McCain's economic philosophy leaned toward free market principles and fiscal restraint. While he supported some government intervention, he voted for the 2008 bank bailout, his presidency might have avoided a stimulus on the scale of Obama's. Instead, he may have leaned on tax cuts and pro-business policies to spur recovery. Would this approach have been enough? With millions out of work and consumer confidence at historic lows, it's worth questioning whether McCain's response would have matched the urgency of the moment. Conversely, could he have positioned America for a stronger long-term recovery by focusing on deficit reduction and market-driven solutions? The ripple effects of his economic policies would have been profound, shaping household finances, unemployment rates, and even public trust in government for years to come. Another signature achievement of the Obama presidency was the Affordable Care Act, ACA, or Obamacare, which sought to expand health coverage to millions and reform the healthcare system. Under McCain, it's highly unlikely we would have seen anything resembling this sweeping reform. McCain proposed a market-based healthcare plan in 2008 that focused on tax credits for individuals to buy insurance. His model relied less on federal oversight and more on competition within the private sector. Could it have addressed issues like skyrocketing premiums or the lack of coverage faced by millions? Healthcare under McCain may have been characterized by incremental tweaks rather than the systemic overhaul we saw with Obamacare. And while this might have avoided some of the polarization around the ACA's rollout, would it have provided enough of a safety net to address the broader crisis in American healthcare? Political enthusiasts often debate whether McCain's proposals would have struck a better balance or left millions without critical support. As a decorated military officer and vocal advocate for a strong defense, John McCain would likely have taken a different approach to foreign policy. Would he have ramped up American involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan, pushing for military victory? Or would he have sought a more strategic pivot to address emerging threats like China or Russia? McCain criticized Obama during the campaign for wanting to withdraw from Iraq too quickly. In a McCain presidency, it's possible U.S. troops would have remained longer, potentially leading to higher costs, but also to a more stable outcome in the region. It's also intriguing to consider what McCain's policy toward Iran might have been. While Obama pursued diplomacy and the Iran nuclear deal, McCain may have adopted a hardline stance, further escalating America's commitment to the Middle East. McCain's foreign policy expertise might have led to a more assertive U.S. presence on the global stage, but at the potential cost of continued military entanglements. Would this have benefited America's standing in the world, or would it have deepened domestic discontent over endless conflict? One of the most polarizing figures in McCain's campaign was his running mate, Sarah Palin. Her selection energized the Republican base, but alienated moderates and independents. Imagine for a moment that McCain not only wins, but brings Palin to Washington as vice president. Palin's populist rhetoric and maverick approach could have acted as both a strength and a liability. Would she have had a real voice in policymaking, or would McCain's experience have overshadowed her influence? More provocatively, would her role in a McCain administration have strengthened the populist movement that later culminated in figures like Donald Trump? Palin's brand of politics foreshadowed the rise of a more combative and personality-driven style of conservatism. Under McCain, this movement may have gained momentum earlier, permanently reshaping the Republican Party. John McCain was known for his willingness to break from party orthodoxy, particularly on issues like immigration reform and climate change. Would his leadership have steered the nation toward bipartisanship on these and other domestic policies? On immigration, McCain advocated for comprehensive reform that included a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. This could have sparked a fierce debate within his own party, but it also might have set a more constructive tone for immigration policy compared to the gridlock that followed in later years. On climate change, McCain supported cap-and-trade legislation to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, an idea that was shelved in subsequent years. Would America have taken earlier action on climate under McCain, especially with Democrats supporting similar initiatives? McCain's commitment to working across the aisle might have diffused some of the cultural and political tensions that deepened during Obama's presidency. Or perhaps the oppositional forces at play, on both the left and right, would have created new fractures. Barack Obama's presidency was more than a political era. It was a cultural phenomenon. Obama's election was a symbolic breakthrough for racial progress in America, inspiring movements and shifting societal attitudes. Without him in the White House, what would America have lost in terms of cultural momentum? A McCain presidency might not have ignited the same level of activism on issues like racial justice, LGBTQ+ rights, and gender equality. However, it's also possible that the absence of Obama as a focal point could have delayed the polarization we associate with the culture wars. Would McCain's steadier, more traditional leadership have cooled rising tensions? Or would the pressures of unresolved inequality have erupted even more dramatically without the symbolic progress represented by Obama? A McCain presidency wouldn't just have affected the 4 to 8 years following the 2008 election. It would have shaped the political landscape for decades. Would Democrats have regained momentum in subsequent elections? Or would a more moderate McCain presidency have pulled voters back to the center? Furthermore, it's worth pondering how the Republican Party itself might have evolved. Without Obama galvanizing opposition, would the Tea Party and later Trumpism have gained as much traction? Or would Palin's influence under McCain have set the stage for an earlier populist wave? The legacy of McCain's policies, leadership style, and tone would echo beyond his time in office, fundamentally altering U.S. history. This speculative exercise isn't just about imagining what could have been. It's about understanding how political leadership interacts with history. Leaders shape the times, but they are also shaped by the moments they inherit. John McCain's presidency would have been forged in crisis, and his actions or inactions would have had profound consequences. From the economy to wars abroad to social dynamics at home, each decision would have steered America toward a different future. What if John McCain had defeated Barack Obama in 2008? Would America have emerged from the Great Recession stronger or more fractured? Would the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have dragged on longer or concluded differently? Would domestic divisions have softened or hardened? As political enthusiasts, these questions invite us to not only consider alternate histories, but to reflect on the profound weight of leadership. Leaders don't operate in a vacuum. They respond to and shape the tides of history. We invite you to share your thoughts. How would a McCain presidency have changed America? Would it have been a course correction or a missed opportunity? Speculation may never answer these questions fully, but it fuels the discussions that deepen our understanding of politics, history, and leadership. Like and subscribe for more from History Twist.